After the change of regime in Pakistan and the introduction of democracy, it was stated that perhaps things have changed on the human rights angle in Pakistan. And obviously the Jamaat knows very well that this is not the case, and therefore the Parliamentary Human Rights Commission in the United Kingdom decided to send a delegation to Pakistan to investigate what the current state of affairs were. And this delegation was sent in February this year, which included Tom Cox, who's a member of, ex-member of Parliament, together with the
fact-finding mission, delegates for undertaking a busy and at times grueling, by all accounts, 10 days visit. Before details of the report are examined in detail, I would like to make a few comments just to set the scene. As many know, despite the restoration of democratic civilian rule in 2008, the human rights situation in Pakistan remains poor and complicated by the continuing fight against militants and the tragic flooding this summer. Among the concerns noted by a number of human rights NGOs are incommunicado detention, unlawful killings by the security forces, torture, collective punishment, honour killings, rampant corruption, and an absence of the rule of law. Of course, over the years, the persecution and worse of religious minorities in Pakistan, including Ahmadiyas, Christians, Shia, Hindus, and others, has also been a very serious problem. In 2009, according to the Human Rights Commission of Pakistan, there was an increase in cases of violence against minorities. This year, these are just some of the atrocities which have been committed. On the 4th of September, at least 53 people were killed and 197 wounded in a suicide bombing targeting a Shiite Muslim rally in the southwestern city of Quetta. In July, 2 Christians, Rashid and Sajid Emmanuel, were shot and killed outside the district courthouse after showing up to face charges of blasphemy in Warispura in Punjab province. This was followed by further attacks against Christians. On May the 28th, 2010, extremist Islamist militants attacked 2 Ahmadiyya mosques in Lahore with guns, grenades, and suicide bombs, killing 94 people and injuring well over 100. The Punjabi Taliban, a local affiliate of the Pakistani Taliban, called the Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan, TTP, claimed responsibility. The government of Pakistan is aware that religious intolerance presents a serious problem, and particularly the misuse of the law to victimize religious minority communities, and the continuing impunity for those responsible for serious crimes against members of religious minorities, but has not done anything yet substantive to address it. In August 2009, the Pakistani Prime Minister, Mr. Gilani, announced a committee would be set up to review, quote, laws detrimental to religious harmony, unquote, which was understood to include the blasphemy laws. Subsequently this year, the government announced that it would implement changes to laws that can be exploited to create violence and disharmony in society. Yet it would seem that little progress has been made, and the misuse of the blasphemy laws to the detriment of those from religious minorities continues. In addition to the problems caused by the blasphemy law, there is an urgent need for open debate, interfaith dialogue, and school curriculum reform, including religious school curricula, in order to do this report, which you, I'm sure, have all seen by now, each of whom will speak for about 5 minutes. I don't know if they know that, but 5 minutes. First there is Lionel Blackman, a solicitor advocate and chairman of the Solicitors International Human Rights Group, who dispel misconceptions about different religions and sects. Misconceptions often spread by extremist Islamic religious groups, which, though representative of only a small minority of the population, continue to influence government and the wider society. Though some NGOs are working hard to do this, more remains to be done. Where are you, Lionel? Next is my old friend Tom Cox, former Member of Parliament, who used to chair the Pakistan All-Party Group. And last we have Dr. Martin Lau, barrister, Essex Court Chambers, Reader-in-Law at SOAS.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Anne. As Anne has outlined, the three of us, along with our very, very dear friend Salim Malik, went to Pakistan in February, and our mission was very, very clear: to look at, sadly, the ongoing injustices on the overriding issue of religious freedom, but in particular to the Ahmadiyya community. And I'm sure there are many of us here, and I was privileged to be a Member of Parliament for 35 years, and in the London Borough of Wandsworth, I was the member for Tooting. There is the London Mosque. And repeatedly, I would receive letters from the national president outlining the appalling abuses that were taking place. And one took them up with whoever was the Foreign Office Minister here in the British government at that time. And one was always told, we are deeply concerned about this. We will use our influences. We will make our concerns very, very clearly known in Pakistan. Well, whether they did or not, the sad, sad fact is that there was no change whatever. And on our trip in February, and I, as Anne had outlined, was for many years the chairman of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association British Pakistani Group. And I have been to Pakistan many, many times over the years. And I like Pakistan. I like the people of Pakistan. But the system that has been allowed to continue by successive governments is totally, totally intolerable. And many of the things that we were told and witnessed ourselves was, to me, totally unacceptable at any time. But in the era in which we now live, and the fact that Pakistan is a very prominent member of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, and the CPA have very, very high standards of what they expect from fellow Commonwealth countries. And human rights, the rights of people to practice whatever their religious beliefs may be, is one of the cornerstones of the CPA. But sadly, Pakistan, despite all the promises that we have heard over many years, does not comply to those basic human rights. Now, one could go on for a very long time outlining the kind of issues that were presented to us and the great sorrow, because, ladies and gentlemen, the people we met in the various areas of Pakistan that we visited were decent, honourable, hard-working people who have a particular religious belief. And to people like me, and to all of you who live in this country, whatever may be the religious belief you have, that is your right. and you should be allowed to practice that religion without any fear of whatever type of prosecution may sadly exist in that country. And the final thing I say is this. I'm sure that my two colleagues, and let me say at the outset, they both did the bulk of this report, and they are superb people, as indeed is Salim, to travel with and be associated with. We were a very, very happy team. We never had one single disagreement in the whole time. We didn't always agree, but there was no fallout with us. We were united in why we were there and united in this report. And the final point, as I say, I make is this. What really shocked me was the times we were told by men and women of how they were beaten up in what in Pakistan language is called the lockup, the police station. How these people were taken there, and I suppose sadly, naively thought, well, I'll be safe here. But they weren't safe. Some of them were appallingly assaulted in those lockups. And that is something I don't think, whatever failings a country may have, one would think that the police and their actions are above suspicion. But sadly, that isn't the case in Pakistan. So I do hope that all of you, when you have read this report, will do everything you can to keep this issue alive. I know the four of us that went on the delegation will, because in this day and age, and as I've already said, a country like Pakistan, a prominent member of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, cannot be allowed to continue to close their eyes to these appalling injustices that are inflicted in many, many parts of the meeting. Overwhelmingly went very well. The report is an excellent one, but again it highlights the continuing injustice that exists in Pakistan for people of different religious beliefs, but overwhelmingly the Ahmadiyya community. And as we all know, this tragically has been going on for years and years and years. And the things that we heard, the comment that I made, of the fear of people being arrested by the police and taken to the lockup. And what happens in the lockup? I mean, where they are, and we saw this. We saw this on our visits of people, men and women, who've been taken to the lockup, and where they thought, well, I'm going to be asked questions, etc. It wasn't that. It was they were beaten up in the lockups. And, you know, in this day and age, you just cannot accept that taking place in a country like Pakistan, which is a major country of the world.
Thank you, Anne, for launching this report, together with matching jacket. I'd like to thank Eric Avery also for forming the delegation that went to Pakistan and being the inspiration to our mission. I don't wish to, on any occasion, upset or disturb other people's religious sensibilities. That's why I keep my own views